His Excellency, George Weah, President of Liberia. Our board noted that His Excellency's victory as the African Political Leader of the Year 2023 is a testament to his contributions to promoting peace, African culture and development, youth and sports development, and advancing Africa's agenda globally. It is also a recognition of his critical role in the infrastructural and socio-economic development of his country as well as his people-friendly policies. He has continued to advocate for peace and free and fair elections in the ECOWAS sub-region, and this was demonstrated by a show of statesmanship and iconic posturing by accepting electoral loss and congratulating the winner. While he arguably had options as a sitting president, he chose the path of honor, peace, and the defense of democracy. His emergence reaffirms our position that he has remained one of the continent's leading light, as he had continued to demonstrate great faith in the African project, promoting African dignity and helping to change the negative narratives about the continent.
Before we could become journalists today, we are citizens. If there is no way that our country is safe, we cannot practice in our respective professions. When we are at war, pastors will not be respected to go to church to preach. When we are at war, medical doctors will not be able to go to hospitals except on a coercion or sanitary condition. When we are at war, lawyers will not be able to go to court to practice. That's why when you see these things happening, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are working a profession, you got to step down and protect your country so that that country will provide an avenue for you to be the kind of person that you want to be. And that's where we are now. What happened on yesterday was wrong. It's still wrong. And no matter what it is wrong. We are seeing things happening in this country, and people are now seeing it as being right because the Asa is there. And these are things that we got to be stand up. To be a patriot, you have to stand first on the side of the law, because the politicians will go away. The regime will pass away, but your country will stay. The law will stay. Your patriotism vow will continue to stay on. And these are things that we got to stand up for. It doesn't matter how people feel, what kind of side you want to be on. We just got to speak to the truth, and that is very much important.
I see in the next few months a nicer country, a very noisy country, rowdy country, a heavily divided country, a very tough economy, a sense of elitism by those who are coming at the hem of authority. The coming in of the Unity Party is going to multiply the economic woes, the economic conundrum, the economic quagmire, the suffering of the Liberian people is going to multiply. We are not prophets of doom, but the reality will come.
Mr. President, recently we witnessed the demolition of the CDC headquarters in Comot Town, which was carried out through a court order. How does the administration ensure that such enforcement action are done fairly and without political interference?
The law is the law. It's not the government. It's the government implementation of the law. The police were ordered to do it, and they did it. If that demolition is removal of the people from premises that don't belong to them according to the law.
Why will George Weah, who is tempted by Joseph Boakai, who was drowning in his Egypt land, who was dead, very red up, dirty, stink, you could find him passing around, practically dead and useless. Why will such a man conduct make you we are vexed that you will struck the work and then lose God's own mission to take you to the promised land? That was the test of time today for George Weah. If George Weah had reacted, you are falling in the place of Moses.
The Liberia National Police commenced the Congress for Democratic Change for the discipline, calm, and statesmanship demonstrated during the recent eviction process. Their respect for the rule of law, despite the deep sentimental value and history attached to the property, reflects a maturity that strengthens Liberia's democracy. This movement is not only a testament to CDC's leadership, but also a reminder to all political institutions and citizens that our democracy grows stronger when lawful decisions are honored peacefully.
Today, you have a rebel police director who thinks that he has arrived. And the worst thing about all these people, They all benefited from the magnanimity of George Weah. Ranging from people on the bench of the Supreme Court, they got letters from George Weah. If some of them choose to pay him back with evil, it's up to them. The very Gregory Comer today, he worked in the previous administration when Weah came. He also got another letter again. If he chooses to do what he's doing, it's up to him. But one thing I can tell you for sure is this is how Weah had always been molded. That's how God has already molded Weah and catapult him into success. He will suffer rejection, denigration, humiliation. That has been his life. How can you make somebody who has been down the line their shame? The person has gone through shame. They have gone through disgrace. They have done everything they cared. Whatever people thought and were laughing at them, they surmount everything and catapult themselves into becoming someone who is towering that the whole world can look at today. What more can you do? You think you're bringing that person down? You're just hurting yourself. In fact, what you are doing, you are destroying yourself. You know what it takes for you to proud in yourself of being bad? When people are looking for good image, you are happy in becoming a bad person. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. He would never ever.
There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. But I can tell you, this is a bad example.
George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. He would never ever.
There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. But I can tell you, this is a bad example.
George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. He would never ever.
There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. But I can tell you, this is a bad example.
George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. He would never ever.
There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. But I can tell you, this is a bad example.
If there is any difference, you always see it. But I think there is nothing different will be from what I told you before. What I told you before is the real statement. It's a statement of fact. Besides the time he himself stood where he stood judgment and said but it was under the national security. He added to said that he made the first interview. The interview was made right in front of the court there. That yeah, the people took the money, they used the money, but they used it for national security. And it was never used for national security. We maintain that money was never used for national security. They took the money, they stole the money in LA. They stole the money in LA. So that's not a national security issue.
Let me just make something very quick and clear. The last time the Solicitor General came here and told you people that the defendants in this case have confessed to the crime, that is a lie. It's not true. No one confessed to a crime. There is a difference between confession to criminality, and making a point. Confession to the crime means the man is admitting to the crimes in the indictment that he committed the offense. That is not the case. What happened in this case is that there is a statutory function, or there were statutory functions that were carried out by the former Minister of Finance. That is under section 14.2 of the Public Finance Law. The law says that the Minister of Finance has the authority, statutory authority, to authorize payments that have been recommended by any of the branches of government within the budget, or authorized within the budgetary laws of Liberia. And that is exactly what the Minister of Finance have done.
Before we could become journalists today, we are citizens. If there is no way that our country is safe, we cannot practice in our respective professions. When we are at war, pastors will not be respected to go to church to preach. When we are at war, medical doctors will not be able to go to hospitals except on a coercion or sanitary condition. When we are at war, lawyers will not be able to go to court to practice. That's why when you see these things happening, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are working a profession, you got to step down and protect your country so that that country will provide an avenue for you to be the kind of person that you want to be. And that's where we are now. What happened on yesterday was wrong. It's still wrong, and no matter what it is wrong. We are seeing things happening in this country, and people are now seeing it as being right because the Asa is there. And these are things that we got to be stand up. To be a patriot, you have to stand first on the side of the law, because the politicians will go away. The regime will pass away, but your country will stay. The law will stay. Your patriotism vow will continue to stay on. And these are things that we got to stand up for. It doesn't matter how people feel, what kind of side you want to be on. We just got to speak to the truth, and that is very much important.
His Excellency, George Weah, President of Liberia. Our board noted that His Excellency's victory as the African Political Leader of the Year 2023 is a testament to his contributions to promoting peace, African culture and development, youth and sports development, and advancing Africa's agenda globally. It is also a recognition of his critical role in the infrastructural and socio-economic development of his country, as well as his people-friendly policies. He has continued to advocate for peace and free and fair elections in the ECOWAS sub-region, and this was demonstrated by a show of statesmanship and iconic posturing by accepting electoral loss and congratulating the winner. While he arguably had options as a sitting president, he chose the path of honor, peace, and the defense of democracy. His emergence reaffirms our position that he has remained one of the continent's leading light, as he had continued to demonstrate great faith in the African project, promoting African dignity and helping to change the negative narratives about the continent.
Got the contradictions, we've got the misinformation, just everything. Yes, the government isn't treading the path. The mind game is on, but it is our responsibility to neutralize the mind game and expose the lies. Depoliticize everything. It's another day, man. This is Sam Andrews. As always, Sam Andrews. To God Almighty, the creator and sustainer of the universe, the God who has given us life, not only that, but he protects the life that he gave. He is faithful. He is good. He is kind. He is loving. Acknowledgement is all that he wants. And so we acknowledge him in everything. And we also acknowledge you by your presence. Thank you so very kindly too for coming on. We appreciate it, man. You're so massive, so extraordinary, so great. Without you, we can. With you, we are good together. It is complimentary. Thank you so very much. Let's have a wonderful info time together in the reign of Judah Christopher. But we will not bow, just as Nebuchadnezzar insisted that the nation bow to him. No, we will not. We have on the instinct of the three Hebrew brothers that said, with no disrespect, O King Nebuchadnezzar, even if our God cannot save us, we put aside spirituality, we stand on the law. We will not bow down. No. So it's another day, man. Thank you for coming on again. Let's bring on some of you. You are so very many, rolling down like sea, like river. Can get all of you on, but we'll try to get a couple of you on by recognition. Then we get started. Asata Miller, as usual, Red Light, Mami Jackson, Willem Saki, Logan Town, Willem Hoff, Minnesota, USA, Roland Kahn, Junior, Marshall City Highway,
Jeremiah Labla, Soul Clinic, Gaza, Stanley Bozo, Congress City, Claudia Allison, Delaware, USA, Abraham Kekula, Grand Kidman County, Lawrence Winning, Slipway Community, member of the block behind Liberia Lane Authority. And I understand you guys are bereaved. William Derry Wulu, spokesperson, Civil Rights Movement, Caldwell, Stephen Yakati, District 2, Lower Magibi County, Saturday Woodaway, Atlanta, Georgia, USA, Jack Foley Tombikai, Brewerville Bible College Junction, Charles Weir, Jacob Town, Heron Tito Jr., Caldwell, Malu Fofana, statutory member, 20th Street Sinker, David Williams, Colorado, USA, Jukonti Chie, Business Center, Jumon Colley, your residence, Red Line, Princess Elpidets, Gunta City, Nima County, Felicia, Mano, BOE Town, Grand Judy County, Archie Flomo, Ruth Bodwobine, Phoenix, Arizona, USA, Rita Christine Hates, Massachusetts, USA, Juan Momolu, Business Center, Gala Street, Usman Saul, same place, Gala Street, Business Center, Julie Johnson, Gala Street, that's James Carpenter, Harper City, Maryland County. My dear sister, started to remember too. You have become a started to remember. Orita Sunday Week Choir, good to have you on. Welcome. Hope that you are having a great time and had a wonderful weekend. We are always inspired by your presence. Hope that you are doing well, and I know you are. Orita Sunday Week Choir, welcome. Emmanuel Bro, Minnesota, USA, and Ethnates MC, Minnesota, USA also. The chairman himself, Roman Rico, Kenneth Ball, the Reference Point chairman, the chairman for life, the Melting Pot chairman, the Down to F chairman, Block Titan Intellectual Center, District Titan Intellectual Center. Okay, all of you good people, thank you, ma'am, for coming on. We appreciate all of you this post-holiday presentation. The only country with multiple holidays, yet it is way back, suffering from leadership deficit. Yes, nothing to show under the current government. So let's go with what we have as quickly as we can out of Liberia. Ghana is expected to acquire a dedicated presidential aircraft by November. That's according to the presidency. The government says the move aims to strengthen state aviation capacity and ensure reliable transport for the head of state. The new aircraft will expand the presidential fleet and allow Ghana to rely fully on state-owned planes for official travel. The clarification follows public concerns over the president's recent use of a private jet belonging to his brother, Ibrahim Mahama, for official travel. Officials say the acquisition is part of efforts to modernize Ghana Armed Forces and improve state aviation while enhancing security, efficiency, and public confidence in presidential travel arrangements. A series of explosions by suspected suicide bombers has hit Maiduguri in northeastern Nigeria's Borno State, leaving at least 23 people dead and more than 100 injured. The attacks occurred at the entrance of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and at two local markets. Dozens of victims are being treated in nearby medical facilities. The incident followed an overnight assault on a military post and comes amid a renewed surge in violence linked to Boko Haram and the ISIS-affiliated group Daesh, disrupting a period of relative stability in the city. Authorities say the situation has been brought under control, while President Bola Tinubu has ordered the deployment of additional troops to boost security and surveillance across Maiduguri. Kenya says Russia has agreed to stop accepting Kenyan nationals into its military after concerns that hundreds had been drawn into the war in Ukraine. Kenya's Foreign Affairs Minister made the announcement in Moscow following talks with his Russian counterpart, saying Kenyans will no longer be able to enlist in the Russian armed forces. The issue has raised alarm in Kenya amid reports that some citizens travel abroad expecting civilian jobs, but were instead recruited into the military linked to the conflict. The Kenyan government says it has been dismantling recruitment networks and has shut down more than 600 agencies accused of sending job seekers overseas under false pretense. South Africa's Department of Home Affairs is investigating 813 suspected marriages of convenience in KwaZulu-Natal. Officials say the cases often involve foreign nationals marrying South Africans to secure legal residency or documentation. The figures were revealed by Provincial Manager Cyril Makwabi during a Crime Council meeting in Durban. At the same time, law enforcement carried out 148 operations targeting immigration violations. Officials are also warning employers that those found hiring undocumented migrants could face persecution. The issue remains sensitive in South Africa, where immigration continues to shape debates around jobs, security, and economic opportunities. And lastly, countries continue to feel the effect of the war in Iran, far and outside the Middle East. No region more so than Asia, which rely heavily on oil and gas, which passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Sri Lanka has become the latest country to put in measures, declaring Wednesday a public holiday to save fuel. BBC Nick March explains the rest of the story.
If you're a public worker in Sri Lanka and you're going to have the day off, so if you work at a school or indeed if you're a pupil, university, post office, museum, you name it, you know, the public sector essentially is shutting down on Wednesdays until further notice. And that is to save fuel, basically. Sri Lanka is one of the many countries in Asia that's running out of oil reserves. It's running out of fuel reserves because, like you said, so much of this oil and gas that passes through the Strait of Hormuz, or is supposed to be passing through the Strait of Hormuz, it isn't anymore because of the war. So much of it goes to Asia, and it's usually the poorer countries which have have less in their reserves. And Sri Lanka is one of them. And people are also being asked to register for this fuel pass, which rations the amount of fuel that people can buy. It's actually something which happened, I think it was about 4 years ago, when Sri Lanka went through an economic collapse, essentially, ran out of foreign reserves, couldn't pay for fuel, massive queues at petrol stations. And the country's president, even though we haven't seen massive fuel shortages yet, the country's president is obviously very wary of repeating those scenes, very fresh in the memory. And so they brought this measure in. So Wednesdays are now public holidays if you're a government worker.
And what about the rest of Asia? How is it coping with the energy crisis?
It's tough. It's tough. So the Philippines, for example, it gets 95% of its crude oil from the Middle East. And they're talking about having weeks worth of supplies left. And bus fares are already going up there. Government workers are working a 4-day work week. In Thailand, there have been reports that people in government offices are being told to wear short sleeve shirts rather than suits, so you don't have to spend so much on aircon and save fuel there. Aircon can't go below 26 degrees there. In Vietnam, people are working from home across the country, again, if they can. But the vast majority of people don't work for the government. They're not public employees, but they do need fuel and do need cooking gas and things like that. And prices are rocketing. So these are very, very human stories and sort of very everyday concerns that we're seeing play out because of this war, which is hundreds of miles away from where these people live.
The BBC Nick Marsh explaining the measures Sri Lanka as well as other countries have put in place to save fuel, while our country, the measure they put in place increase the hardship. Leadership deficit is a serious virus, a very debilitating virus. The government here announced increment, and that's all. When you announce increment, in fact, before announcing an increment, you want to look at the overall situation. You want to take a general picture, bringing all of the factors, all of the existential factors, all of those factors on the table, do a full analysis before you can lead to increment. That will give you a full understanding. If you did an increment, how it's going to benefit, one, the population or the populace, two, how they're going to cope with it. That means by reasoning. If you listen to very many of the people, no measure in place, but hold on to that. Again, please, we request your assistance to help us get these ladies' identity, or this is identity, but where we can find them, please. There is information out for them, and the institution is trying the best it can to reach out to these ladies. If you are aware, if you know any one of them, please help us. Just tell whoever you may have come in touch with to come at Kings 88.5 so they can receive their information. We beg you, do that for us and for them, because it is very vital. It's important that they receive their information. Please do that. We beg you. If you know them, wherever they are, their identity, you want to, or this is their identity rather, you want to just tell any one of them you've come across, just move on to Kings 88.5 in Central Moravia and pick up your information. Please, you want to do that. This is the second week we'll bring them to you so that you see, and then you can help us, please. Yeah. All right. So let's get to what we've got. Today is the 17th day of March. The month is gradually going to an end. It's gradually going to an end. It's the same as the year is gradually going to an end. We are not retrogressing. We are forward moving. We are forward moving. So if anyone would think that time is still in the government's favor, you must be mistaken. time isn't in the government's favor. No, time isn't in the government's favor. The government don't have much time. 2029 is just around the corner. You can live with your illusion or just your literal understanding that is deceiving you, but we apply technical political reasoning to the table, which everybody who has been in this realm knows very well. The National Elections Commission, though it does not have a full chair, but works are going on. The legislature is concerned. They've started the committee responsible for election in the House of Representatives, in the House of Senate. They have started informal discussions already, and the international partners too, they have started discussing informally in-house. They have started discussing with the National Elections Commission. Why are they having these pockets of conversations and meetings? Because they technically know that time does not wait for anybody. 2029 is around the corner. Hence, if you are a supporter of Unity Party and you think that you have ample time, you have much time, you should be mistaken. There isn't any time left. And everything is working for the good of the opposition. Everything is working for the good of the opposition, political, or just the opposition sector. It's working. Just as the sun goes, everything is working for my good. Everything is working for the opposition good. Everything is working for the opposition good. All right. So, here is it, people. This is what we've got on our plate. Now, this is what the Unity Party wanted to do, but they did not know how to go about doing it. No, they did not know how to go about doing it. This is what they wanted to do. The Ghanaian government announced bluntly that plans are underway, given the delicacy of the presidency, given the security nature, and a lot more. The justification for the purchasing of a presidential aircraft by November. Remember now, before this, Ghana had been going through a couple of issues. But I am sharing with you this to tell you that the people, they are a government. They know what they ought to do. They will hide nothing. They will not play the cat and mouse game. No, they will not play the hanky-panky stuff. Unity Party, all of us know that President Bouakai is not in a good bill of health. We got a good education a couple of months ago when everyone explained the necessity, the compelling need to have the president riding or using private jet. He did explain the security implication, the not stopping where you have too many transit points and all of those. President can go through all of those things, which made sense to any reasoning person. To come and tell the people that, look, this is the situation. This is the condition of our president. This is what we are confronted with. Hence, we want to get a private jet. But because they were so brutal, so cruel, inhumane, their goal in the past in opposition to destabilize the country, they saw nothing as being significant. They saw nothing as being profitable for this country. They did not see Liberia as a country under former President George Weah. They saw Liberia as a thing that they should destroy, and they were truly doing everything to destroy this country. They were even ready to take this country to war. And the country under former President Weah, with Unity Party in opposition, had it not been for the far-sightedness of former President George Weah, coupled with his advisors around him, then this country, Unity Party, were taking it to war. Then they would have said, you see there, we told you, the man does not have the ability. Yeah, it's it. The country now is this. You see people running here and there. That's what they were doing. They wanted. So they come to power now because they overwhelmed themselves with evil, diabolical lies, highly satanic. They blow themselves of reasoning. They chunk rescue Senator Infron to say, yeah, go and test the water. Instead of saying, this is what we have, we want to do this, they send rescue Senator Infron Dillon to come and test the water. When he sat on the radio and said he never knew the importance. Who in the right mind, only a dull person, only a person who is suffering from dementia will ever say that, and not a person who claims to be educated, a person who is critical and had been critical from the past to this day would sit down on a radio and say never knew the importance of a private jet. And you expect, and those who buy into it, sorry to say, that's how the politicians make you to think. That's why Bernie Spears say they want us to think stupid. How can a man in his normal self, who has traveled who has traveled to several countries of the world, a man who is critical, and this is not to say when I open a line, you lay emphasis, I'm just using the Ghanaian something to tell you a government simply needs to be blunt. Don't play the hanky-panky game. Don't act like you're so smart when you aren't. Say he ain't know the importance of private jet. What happened? The way they came now, you see the private jet, then it died. It died natural death. A finish. They can't talk about private jet again. President Bouaga has spent millions of dollars on traveling here and there. Using private jet, no account. They will never give account, but the conscience will not serve them right, and it's not serving them right. So the Ghanaian government, they say, we're going to acquire a dedicated presidential aircraft by November. Who confirmed it? The presidency. And what did they say? To strengthen state aviation capacity and ensure reliable transport for the head of state, meaning the president. When former President George Weah said, that the private jet he was using when he had just come to the presidency was given by his friend. These people in power today, in opposition then, they argue to the letter that it was not true. As if nobody in the world can afford private jet personally. As if nobody who exists as a human being does not have anybody who is affluent, who has the ability to earn. They say it was not true. That was the money he was taking, the country money using 30 million on private jet. That's the figure they gave. They determine their own figure. They say President Weah used 30 million. So President Weah was compelled to give a news conference and say, well, look at Liberia, look at the country, look how it's looking. Does the country have 30 million? That would take 30 million less than no time to buy a private jet. This private jet was given by a friend, President Weah. He had it. I think I should get that. And you're listening to him himself. He had it. What do we have before us today? Ghana tell us that the private jet that John Dramani Mahama was using, his brother, private jet, his brother, The clarification follows. Public concerns over the president's recent use of a private jet belonging to his brother, biological brother, Ibrahim Mahama. When President Weah said his friend lended him that private jet, they said, no, that's not true. If you don't get friends or friends that have these luxury, it doesn't say the other people ain't get friends that get it. No, and we live on earth to learn from, and people give, people put their whatever they have at the disposal of another person. And that's what friendship is all about. And not just any friendship, but impactful friendship. So if it can happen for you, then you have to check yourself. So the Ghanaian government said, we buy. We will get a jet for the president. That's great. So the attention has been on this border thing and Sam Jackson's wife alleged murder case that's ongoing. So people are not concerned about Josh Tengbe or Austin Tengbe. People are not concerned again. That is done, finished. But we have some update. We have an update. The Ghanaian government was sent to court 4 of these suspects. 4 was sent to court. The Ghanaian government is still investigating that. They have not given up on that. They have sent to court 4 persons. 4 persons in the Austin Tengbe case. 4 persons they've sent to court. The trial is ongoing. 4. As you can see on the screen, they have been bundled into the car, taken to the court. 4 of them. So the investigation is still ongoing. Ensuring that they are hiding nothing, absolutely nothing. They are hiding. And that's good. That's very good. Thanks to the Ghanaian government. Why our people here giving it less attention, far less attention. Everybody focusing on Sam Jackson, the border issue. Everybody focusing on that. Everybody going to Sam Jackson case, and then the border issue. Mainly the border, a misunderstanding.
Knowing wisdom is the compass of the people. Yeah. Keep your word like King Boatswain. Because a country cannot stand if the word of its people means nothing. Preserve the land for Africa. Like King Peter, who understood that land is not merely soil. It is inheritance. It is sovereignty. It is the future of generations yet unborn. Fighting justice like Joseph Jenkins Roberts, who stood against the slave trade and defended the dignity of Africans in a hostile world. Be like William Tyrrell, who refused to stand silent. Why human beings we're bought and sold, free on survive, because someone chooses to resist. Be informed, be ethical, serve your country. A nation is not built by spectators. It is built by citizens. Citizens who understand that freedom carries responsibility. That liberty demands character. And that a republic survives. So today we remember the examples that came before us. Be a peacemaker like Suakoko, who understood that strength is not always the sword. Sometimes it is the wisdom to prevent the sword from being drawn. Be stoic like steady when the storms came. Now when the nation needed clarity, be wise like King Mamulu, who governed with patience and judgment. Knowing wisdom is the compass of the people. Keep your word like King Boatswain, because a country cannot stand if the word of its people means nothing. Preserve the land for Africa, like King Peter, who understood that land is not merely soil. It is inheritance. It is sovereignty. It is the future of generations yet unborn. Fighting justice like Joseph Jenkins Roberts, who stood against the slave trade and defended the dignity of Africans in a hostile world. Be like William Tyrrell, who refused to stand silent. Why human beings we're bought and sold, free on survive, because someone chooses to resist.
Yeah, it's all about preserving the land, preserving the African heritage, preserving the African land. A nice one, inspiring one. I just thought to share with you too, because I like it. Yeah. All right. So we move to this one. And the name isn't important. No, forget about the name. What led to the person ceased from being a person? That's what is important. I could have shared the name, or I can share the name, but the name is not important. Too many people cease from being human being to dead body because of this thing called anger. I am a witness to this temperament that today the person is no longer a person, but a dead body. The person gave up from temperament. And you know what happens beyond that? Most of you who scream, shout, yell, you get stirred up for whatever the situation, whatever the magnitude is it. And you're screaming, you're shouting, you're yelling all over the place. Even when people telling you, leave it, you see it as a suppression of your right. And you're not thinking about your inner system. Our condolences to the family. And I thought to share it with us, all of us, because the cause is known. The cause is known. And the family, they've conceded. That means they just accept the reality. You have to control your temper. You don't allow anger to lead you to something unwanted. You can express your emotion as we do reasonably, and everybody understands. But you should have a will and time to suppress that emotion, that it wouldn't lead to the next stage called anger. The next stage is where when it gets so, when it's soaked into the system, you want to prove a point. And anger is not to prove a point. Let me share with you 4 things. 4 unwanted victory of anger. 4 unwanted victory. 4 unwanted victory. Because nobody wants these 4 I'm about to share with you. That's why I said unwanted victory. 1, warned or caught. The severity will be determined by the outcome of the anger. You see people, they here and there, they're screaming, and people telling them, leave it, leave it. Oh, leader boy, oh, leader, you stop saying this. Oh. And you see people just venting their anger. Until something happens, someone is wounded. The cut can be either less or major, but some kind of pain will be inflicted because either the person is trying to prove a point by venting anger against a person, or two persons in a clash, or the mother is venting her anger against the boy or the girl, the father is venting his anger against the boy, or the girl does not want to listen. People say, oh, leave the boy, leave the boy. Oh, leave the girl. Oh, you kid a girl, you had a girl, leave the girl. You hear people saying that, and the person, just as you hear people deny their anger. And then when they finish nursing the anger, they showcase their anger. Showcasing anger is where you talk about it as if it is a normal discussion. Me, I get bad vexation. Me, my anger not near. Me, when I get vexed, nobody can stop me. You're discussing, you've already shown that you've nursed your anger. And at the close of the day, something going to happen because you will not be thinking about the aftermath. And that's how most people think in our country. They don't look at the aftermath. They don't look at who they are. And sometimes it may not necessarily that you intend to inflict pain on that person, but because you think that you should demonstrate your anger, because it is a legitimate anger, you get yourself into something else, like how that lady, today she's in the mall. Just yesterday we were together, not yesterday, but Saturday. We were together. A jovial person. And then what happened? I just said, oh, you looked at the male get vessel. She said, what? He said, what, Obi? I said, what? Because your daughter said they get a photocopy, no different. She said, no, they gave somebody bed. Less than no time, going on the other side, came back. I heard screaming, shouting. So I jokingly jumped in again. I said, no, the Chief Justice said nobody more cause. So when you cause, we'll send you to jail for 6 months. So only this morning to hear and go carry. Oh, you can't do that. You have to. And it was not a fight between two persons. She wasn't fighting with anybody. But you're just screaming. So much so. When they explain a story to you, I was thinking about some of the things that came out from Jackson's wife investigation, people start talking about this thing called seizure, because the way the people were explaining it, they said the blood started coming from her nose, it burst, all kinds of things. People who were close. So before they could get her to the hospital, it was late. So that's the first thing. The first unwanted victory of anger. The second unwanted victory. Your anger will either find you in hospital or in clinic. And you don't want to be that. Nobody just want to be in hospital or a clinic for exhibiting anger. No. But if you can control it, the third unwanted victory of anger, you either find yourself in prison. When you can, you find yourself in prison. And the third unwanted victory, is death. The third unwanted victory of anger is death. I appeal to all of you, suppress your anger. You can express your emotion, but let not your emotion grow and reaches the point of anger. By the time it reaches the point of anger, what sets in is temper tantrum. That's when you hear the person say, I will do this at all costs. I will do this. If I hear you, you must change my name. Nobody will talk to me and listen. And by the time you do that, you start regretting and say, if I know the police they're taking you straight in jail. Our society is filled with anger. Political anger, family anger, religious anger, office anger, business anger, just all. You can be emotional, but your emotion should not go beyond. All right. So we have this thing, the investigation is ongoing. We've been following it from the very first day. People have been putting their understanding to it, giving their analysis as per what they know about the Sam Jackson wife passing. Not the cross, because I do not know the cross, and it is an investigation. The investigation is ongoing, and it does not stop anybody from sharing their opinion. But what you don't want to do is to put yourself in a situation that when something happens to you or any one of your family members, people will be excited and motivated. Moreover, we tend to look at people based on their status, that they should not stoop so low on certain things. Let me give you an example, then I go to these two names. Edwin Snow, Senator Edwin Snow, mimic democratically President Joseph Yema Boakai. He mimicked President Boakai, meaning use that AI something to put him in a military uniform, that he's getting ready to settle the misunderstanding between Liberia and Guinea. The Unity Party people hung on him, questioned his status, and said all manner of things why he had to do that. But before Senator Snow, others did. It wasn't important. So they started to say, well, for his status, he should not do that, he should not do that, all kind of things they said, all that they could have said. As much, why it is true that they're entitled to their opinion. That is democratic. People pimped. They portray Donald Trump, whoever. You see that from the United States political culture. When Trump started the Iraq war going, they give different portrayals of him, different way. Did they say anything negative? But here is it. Two individuals I will share with you from this Samuel Jackson stuff to tell you how our culture is bad, is deadly, is nasty, is stink politically. And if people are not careful, it will become the normal. When the Sam Jackson issue came out, I did not expect such to come from Boubacar Jaliba. I will summarize Boubacar Jaliba's statement. Boubacar Jaliba, those of you who know, who are friends with him, you go on his page if he has not taken that article down. Boubacar Jaliba wrote, expressing his delight, his joy in Samuel Jackson's situation, that his wife is dead and that he should be held accountable, and he portrayed it like Samuel Jackson killed his wife, and now that he has the opportunity to mock him. Why? According to Boubacar Jaliba, when Lawrence Randall died, Lawrence Randall, who set up Capital FM, when Lawrence Randall died, according to Boubacar Jaliba in his post, Sam Jackson said awful things about his friend, the late Lawrence Randall. And according to Boubacar Jaliba in that post, for decades, he been having that in his mind against Sam Jackson. So when the news came up that Sam Jackson is being investigated for allegedly murdering or killing his wife, was an opportunity. Boubacar Jaliba post there. I'm calling his name. Y'all go there. Y'all will see it. The Unity Party people did not say it was wrong for his status, that he will keep grudge, or he kept grudge for 10 years. When Lawrence died, I think Lawrence should be almost 10 years, if not. I don't think Lawrence in the grave for 10 years or more. But let's take it as that as Boubacar Jaliba put it across. So I started to wonder, you see that? You see human being. I can see why God said the heart of man is desperately wicked. But nobody, not a single United Party person will say, oh, look, my man, for your status, man, why will you keep grudge? Why will you say this thing? Everybody was excited. The next person who wrote a post expressing joy in what Sam Jackson is going through, Mo Ali. And I can understand when I read the post, because prior to this incident, Mo Ali and Sam Jackson, they were at each other's throat. They almost went personal. I'm telling you how these United Party guys, they take pleasure. They are excited when people are going through terrible situation. But when it is them, nobody should say anything. People should sympathize and empathize with them. Why would you do that? Now, that information, or tell me now, if something happened to any one of Boubacar Jaliba family or even Boubacar himself, people will go and start celebrating. They will say, oh, yeah, the man did it. Any man there is Sam Jackson. Any man kept grudge for Sam Jackson. If anything happened to any one of Mo Ali people, or even Mo Ali himself, people will put the political stuff on it. They will express themselves. So my understanding is the guys are creating a culture that nobody will express sympathy for anybody. If you are on the side of Unity Party, nobody will express sympathy for you, only your people. If you are on the side of the opposition, the Unity Party people will not express sympathy, even though you people are human beings, but that the opposition people will express sympathy for you. How would Boubacar Jaliba write that? Why? He said for all those years, he said since Lawrence Randall died, and he's not related to Lawrence Randall. Thank God he put it in his right out. He said friend, as much as they were good friends. It doesn't say. Lawrence Randall family, yeah, Pinto Randall over there. Let the other family member in Barnesville. But as they were together, they went to school together. But he was never a strong family member to Lawrence Randall? We know when Lawrence Randall died, Bwaga Jaliba didn't know where Bwaga Jaliba was in America going to school. He came here only one time. We know that for a fact. I know because we were at Capital FM. We still hold Lawrence Randall. Personally, I still hold Lawrence Randall in my heart. I had Lawrence Randall picture as my profile picture for I know how many, almost since when he died, almost going to 2 years. Somebody had to say, Sam Andrew, take it down. Because the man gone now. When other people see it, yeah. That's how I took Lawrence Randall picture down as my profile picture to tell the connection that we have. People say something about Lawrence Randall. Does it give us the right to hold it against them? You think Bwaga Jaliba was more close to Lawrence Randall than me? He was more close to Lawrence Randall than the late Melvin. He was more close to Lawrence Randall than Aaron, than Oliver. He was not close to Lawrence Randall. No. Even if the people were close, you're not family member. Why would you go put that thing in your right out that you be keeping grudge for Sam Jackson because he said awful things against the late Lawrence Randall? All of them expressing joy. So you can see why the whole situation with that Samuel Jackson, something as much as the investigation is going on, we trust the police, we gave the police the benefit of the doubt, but you can see the political sentiment they put into it. And you can see why the police blunder. I said the police blunder. Listen, I'll explain it. The first thing, let's take it this way. You assume the circumstance, so you move in. The same blunder they did with the crime scene, the same thing they did over there. So what do you want to do? You want to cordon off the crime scene. Death occurred. Though the woman did not die in the house, but a major incident is alleged to have occurred in the house. So you want to declare that place a crime scene. They can tell us they are in the force. They are the people who know XYZ. Equally, we have our own security knowledge because we go to seminars. We have the repository of knowledge called the internet. We watch movies, even though they are not reality, but they tell us that it is the idea they are portraying. We see these things in movies. We see them on international news, real life, that the crime scene is cutting off. Nobody goes in, nobody comes out. Every person who was in the house at the time, they are prime suspects. The Lord said a person is declared innocent until proven guilty. And our Constitution says Article 21. But every person inside there, they are suspect. So what you want to do as a force, you cordon off the crime scene that you see the people do, the white people, they will put the tape all around. Nobody going in. It means that place was tampered with. Hence, only the forensic expert will be allowed to move in. You take everybody in your protective custody, not jailing, in your protective custody. Secondly, you take all of their phones, everything. They are all essential for the investigation. Sam Jackson was there, blasting, making videos, writing. The other people doing X, Y, Z. On and off. Blunder. Then, when you've done all of that and you're cording off the area, you have all of the people in your protected custody for questioning at the time you find it necessary and convenient. You have all of their phones, everything. The next thing is the forensic people are going in. It is from there that the full investigation will start. Well, we're seeing it on the international scene, man. What that you have done first is what they did last. The crime scene was already tampered with. The same thing they did with Capitol building. They allow people to be moving in and out, in and out. People going in their offices, doing the work normally, coming out. The other senator will go in. The representative will go just like that. Everybody moving. Then when they see the other person, they say, "Come, you are a suspect. We saw the man walking. We saw the man with gallon. You are a suspect." The same unprofessional conduct they exhibited in the Capitol building arson, that's the same they exhibited over there. But my focus is on those two articles, Mo Ali and Bouaka Jaliba, mainly Bouaka Jaliba. I didn't expect that to come from Bouaka Jaliba. For Mo Ali, he had always been in the political frenzy, defending here and there. Bouaka Jaliba is not that type. Very seldom he writes. Saying that, no. I feel it was not necessary. The Bouaka Jaliba that we came up together in Claratown, a unique character he is. To read that he kept that grudge in his heart for all those years because Sam Jackson made awful statement against the death of Lawrence Randall, his friend. Well, when I tell you that Unity Party people always politicize, they romanticize in death. Let me not say politicize. They romanticize death, but the romanticizing is with grudge. Unity Party is synonymous with death. They like death. They can play with death. They can put they make it. Oh, come on. Damn it. How will you do that? How will you do that? God who created all of us. The man said in Romans 12:15, he said, when your brother is grieving, grieve with him. When he's happy, be happy with him. The reason God put it that because life events rotate. Life events rotate. When you think it can reach you, it will reach you. And you will need people to empathize with you and not politicize. When people begin to politicize it, you will get bitterly vexed with them. But you wouldn't recall that you did it to somebody. That's why God said, do unto others as you have them do unto you. You can't be that devilish. Lauren, your family more than family of Lawrence Randall. Lawrence Randall, big brother Pinto. People said things. Lawrence Randall, big brother, knows very well. But is he holding it against them? No. Lawrence Randall's sister, other than the family members. They heard awful things that people say against Lawrence Randall. But are they holding it against them? No. Because it's finished now, the person ceases from being present to dead. You can't fight for the dead. The dead is the dead. And then, lastly, then we'll turn to you at 4:30. But please, I beg you, purge yourself of hate, of grudge. Don't allow politics, especially Liberia politics, that is so childish, to put you in a situation that will embarrass you in the future. You can tell. No one knows tomorrow. No one knows the hours beyond where we are presently. Only God knows. Don't see yourself as being a Nebuchadnezzar. Even Nebuchadnezzar regretted what he said, what he did. Be careful. Don't rejoice when somebody is going through a terrible time. Don't write because you have the ability to write. As much as it is your right to write, but you want to be very cautious. Sam Jackson people who read that post, they've taken that post down. They're keeping it. If something happens to Bwaga Jaliba or anyone of Bwaga Jaliba family and it comes out, they're going to use it. And people will say, oh, why you do that? But right now, nobody's saying theirs. That was not right at all. That's what I thought to say to that Sam Jackson stuff. And then lastly, when a segment of the media and some politicians allow themselves to be bullied, again, our political culture, people, you please accept it. It's too childish. It's too petty, too turning, not representative of an enlightening political culture. It's not even moving towards any enlightenment. It's just revolving in childishness. We said this thing here. When you're fighting for attention, you will get yourself messed up into something that you just wouldn't want. Our culture is a polarized one, highly divided. Instead of the media and politicians and other people of great reasoning helping the culture to stabilize it, to give it that essence of enlightenment, they helping to make it more polarized. They're dividing it more. But what they write, what they put out, is because people fight for recognition. People bully you when you cannot. If you are a politician, a media person, a civil society, whoever you are, if you can validate, people bully you. And that's what you see happening. Most Liberian politicians, party fanatics, and a segment of the media allow themselves to be bullied. What do you see happening? They are now withdrawing their right out. They are apologizing. We said this thing before. Everybody fighting for recognition. With the domination of the online media or the proliferation of online media, everybody having his or her platform. So nobody wants to do a validation. Everybody wants the recognition. Sam Andrew wakes up in the morning and Sam Andrew says something. One platform takes it. Liberian journalist Sam Andrews writes. The other platform wants the recognition too. So instead of validating what the first platform read, what is it Sam Andrew is saying, whether it is true or not, whether it is worthy of my page or not, that person takes it too. Liberian journalist Sam Andrews writes. Without validating. That's why people bully you. And you see, that's what is happening. When the politicians know that you are not the person that do counter check, you are not a person that validate, they use you. And even some of the politicians, they allow themselves to be bullied too because they want the recognition. They want the praise. If you look at the media now, especially the online media sector, everybody wants to see their story. Everybody wants to see their story on DN News, KMTV, DW, all those local platforms. They want to see their story. So the man will just sit down and say, let me come put something in. Let me write something and send it. What President Weah didn't say, they attributed it to him. Even we can hold the politicians responsible entirely because they are politicians from the other side. They are politicians from the other side. That's what they want. Their goal is to destabilize the opposition, and our goal is to destabilize them too. So I wouldn't hold them responsible when they start to run with it and say, oh, former President Weah spoke to Emmanuel Macron, and Macron said you do this, and then the other people too, they run with it, and then there is retraction until the man had to come and say no. What would it have taken but to just get through to the person, get through to the person's office, get through to that politician, get through to that business person? And there's this law we have in journalism. They tell you that if you are unable to reach out to the person, it is not forced. It is not compulsory that you put it out. It can become historical. That means you wouldn't rush to get it out. You will keep that information until you validate it. Even if the other people are reporting. But you can move, you can go with the wave. Because the wave may not be right. You hold on, you do a validation. When you get it right, in the midst of everybody, the person would say, that radio station, that online newspaper, or that newspaper got it right. The rest of the people was a make-up. Simple. Don't fight for recognition. No, you put forward credibility. It's what attracts people onto you. It is not how quick and fast you want people to read what you have written, to put on your online platform, this one, that one. People will bully you. It's really, we know the online media sector is so powerful because there are many. But because there are many now, so content scarce. Content scarce. So everybody reporting the same thing. You got content scarce now. When you're planted somewhere, nobody thinking differently. Creativity is lacking. Innovation, the first casualty, and then sentimental reporting. Just put it on. Man say, oh my man, send that in to me, man. Yeah, but you go on my page, you call them, you call them paste. You go on and say, John Josiah Wright, a former CDC official, quits CDC. The other man, former CDC official, quits. And you know how you know that? All of them saying the same thing. All of the captions the same. No one would say, let me read this thing over and over and develop a caption that will be captivating. Because people get to read what you have written. When your caption is captivating, that means it's palatable enough, it's juicy, it's attractive, it's appealing. I wouldn't want to read something, John Josiah writes. No, it doesn't appeal to my preference. But it's something that is so strong and intriguing. I will want to know from the meat of the story. And that's how we read literatures and other things and listen. Why you think you can put on the radio talking and say, no, man, not interested, man. It's because nothing is captivating. So we have to be very careful what we do so that it doesn't put us into something. Our culture is so fragile. All right. Yeah, so that's it. Those are the pointers. Let me read some of the comments. There are many. I will try my best. Rita had said, "You remind me of Mo Ali. Don't put me in a situation I can't handle." And she laughs. Gabriel West, but who seeks the downfall of others will definitely fall and will fall flat. It's just a matter of time. Power has gone into the hands of the UP folks. On the police situation, just in passing, Rita said, my son studied forensic science here in the US and works for the state of Massachusetts. And he sometimes tells me about some of his stuff in his job instead. Okay. Yeah, too many things happening. What happened to that lady? Everybody, terrible. I see. Yeah. We're going through different things, different situation. Every day, every minute can tell. I see. All right. Number, fine comment, but you left something out, Chief. Let's go to the line 077 223 99 33 0886 30 44 97. The women's line 0777 98 0375. Again, please, if you guys can just help us with the name, the place of these ladies, we will appreciate it greatly, please. That's what we need. Please, if you can help out, please. Let's go to the line and to have your say. Then we out for today. Yesterday was holiday here. The holiday was on Sunday, but it was celebrated on Monday. Yesterday it was celebrated on Monday. So it's post holiday, after the holiday. Yes.
Be informed, be ethical, serve your country. Oh. A nation is not built by spectators. It is built by citizens. Citizens who understand that freedom carries responsibility. That liberty demands character. And that a republic survives only when its people choose duty over comfort. So today we remember the examples that came before us. Be a peacemaker, like Suakoko, who understood that strength is not always a sword. Sometimes it is the wisdom to prevent the sword from being drawn. Be stoic, like Arthur Barclay, steady when the storms came, calm when the nation needed clarity. Be wise like King Mamudu, who governed with patience and judgment, knowing wisdom is the compass of the people. Keep your word like King Boatswain, because a country cannot stand if the word of its people means nothing. Preserve the land for Africa, like King Peter, who understood that land is not merely soil, it is inheritance. It is sovereignty. It is the future of generations yet unborn. Fighting justice like Joseph Jenkins Roberts, who stood against the slave trade and defended the dignity of Africa in a hostile world. Be like William Thomas, who refused to stand silent. Why human beings with body and soul freedom survive because someone chooses to resist.
African soldier George Weah is the only voice, the only name, the only way, the only road to 2029. And it is based on that they try, but they're not going anywhere with it to think that they can suppress, they can prevent him. Certainly not. Let's go with this one. You know, we're not stupid. No, not at all. Then we get into George Weah returns to the presidency 2029. Yes, they want us to think stupid. They want us to feel stupid, but we aren't. No, not at all. Okay, so let's run through dates. Isaac Jackson wants to make an input, but let's highlight dates, and then if he's ready, we can bring him on, but he has written dates, which is worth highlighting. It's good that he is on that side fighting from an opposition perspective. That is very good. You need to get everybody on deck, every hand on deck. So we'll try to connect him in no time, but this is what he has sent. Then we move to Weah returns to the presidency. Former president, global icon, standard bearer, Congress of Democratic Change returns to the presidency. This is Anthony at Law Isaac Jackson. Once again, he is his position on the investigation into the alleged homicide or the homicide situation. Sam Jackson's wife. Police term it as homicide. Yes. So let's get to Jackson. This is what he has sent. And then we can move to the return of former President George Weah. Okay, I get that, Mr. Jackson. So he said, once again, we wish to reiterate our deepest sympathy for the tragic passing of our dearly beloved sister-in-law, Tony. Understandably, emotions have been running high. The statement made by Uncle Sam regarding the late Salif was less than thoughtful and is deeply regrettable. Notwithstanding, we believe the police may be verging on an abuse of Uncle Sam Jackson's rights as guaranteed under Article 21F of the Liberian Constitution. Article 21F emphasizes the requirement of a probable cause for arrest and detention, and further mandates that an accused person be presented before a court of competent jurisdiction within 48 hours as prescribed by law. I think we can, okay, let's try to pick up Isaac. He said he wants to make a quick import, a very quick import while we running through his line that he has just sent. Let's see, let's bring him on. He wants to make an import. It's good to have you on. Thank you for coming. I know that you are at work, but you try to chip in. Thank you for coming on shortly. Less than no time, Anthony at Law, Isaac Jackson. Yeah, let's get you, sir.
Yeah, what is it about?
Yeah. You've already have seen the piece, but you kind of in your opinion, as a lawyer, that you have a strong reservation of how Sam Jackson was treated by the police?
Again, once more, we are deeply saddened by the tragic passing of our dear sister-in-law, Mrs. Toni Jackson, our Zulu queen. Her loss is heartbreaking, and our thoughts and prayers are with the entire family as we move on the mat of sorrow. This is a profound tragedy. Having said that, we are deeply concerned about an apparent abuse of Uncle Sam Jackson's right by authorities of the Liberian police force. The Liberian laws is very clear as provided for in the Constitution. Article 21F of the Liberian Constitution says there have to be a probable cause for the police to carry out an arrest and detain an individual for 48 hours. If there is not a probable cause to do that, the police should not be in a hurry to do that. The law clearly says that when you keep the man in detention for 48 hours, he must be arraigned before a court of competent jurisdiction. Regrettably, the police kept Uncle Sam Jackson in jail for 48 hours and let him go to his house. What it then means is that there was not a probable cause. There was not a probable cause. It could be that the police is still investigating. But if the police was still investigating, then there was no need to keep Uncle Sam in jail for 2 consecutive days. We have seen this practice in Liberia, whereby unprincipled-minded police officers will go and arrest a suspect, keep him in jail for 48 hours, release the person, and then go back and re-arrest the person and do it repeatedly. That has been the practice in past. It has been a draconian, unlawful practice and tactics by the Liberian police. We don't want to see that in this instant case. We don't want to see that in the instant case. We think the police should be dispassionate, should be unemotional, it should be professional in carrying out its investigation. The police should not be carried away by public clamor. That's why it's supposed to be a professional organization or body. The police should not be politicized. It should be depoliticized. All of these things should be carried out in the rightful professional manner. There's no need to go and create all that the scene that the police have done. So we are encouraging the police. We are all mourning. And we don't want to get involved with all the, the emotions that are running there. We are grieving Toni. She was a very professional woman. She was nice. She was very generous in love. Uncle Sam loved Toni very, very deeply. And every time you talk to Uncle Sam, he is a man of love. He is a man of love. Now, will that be a single day that Uncle Sam and myself will talk and he will not end the conversation by saying, Isaac, I love you, brother. Keep seeing. So he's a loving man. We don't know him to be what he's been accused of. We don't know him to be the person that they are depicting him to be. And my argument here is that the devil may not be as black as it's been painted. If the police want to be seen as doing the right thing, it must conduct itself in a professional manner. It can't be driven by emotion. Law enforcement got to be dispassionate.
Are you insinuating that the police imputed or imputing political sentiment into it?
Oh yes, I mean, from all that we now see,
A fellow claiming to be Uncle Sam's friend wrote a long article. I think his name is Son Rufus, and he said he called the police and saying the police should look on this. I mean, we don't have problem with the police investigating, but if other people are not telling the police to do what it's supposed to do professionally, then there's a problem. I think the police should follow the evidence, and if the evidence equates, the police will equate. That's the point. The police should follow the evidence. If the evidence exonerates Uncle Sam that the cause of death was natural, let the evidence equate him. It will not be because somebody called police and said, please do this, or somebody trying to get even with Uncle Sam because he is a kind of guy who is passionate about Liberia and critical of the government. You know, Uncle Sam is public knowledge. He is a vocal critic of the government. And because he's a vocal critic of the government, an incident at his house had taken over the globe. You know, we want the police to be dispassionate, to be professional, to be very careful in carrying out an investigation. It should not be swayed by public sentiment. That would be unfair. That would be unfair. And the first step that the police has taken is concerning. It is concerning.
What is that first step?
You go and read the Liberian Constitution, Article 21F. It says there got to be a probable cause for you to arrest and detain for 48 hours. And within that 48 hours, you must arrange the person before a court of competent jurisdiction. That was not what happened in the case. Uncle Sam was detained for 48 hours and he was asked to go to his house. Immediately, the police did not find probable cause. A demonstrable probable cause should be the basis for the arrest and detention of somebody for 48 hours. This was not done. The police doesn't have probable cause. Why did they keep Uncle Sam in jail for 2 consecutive days? This is how the police honored Doe, honored Taylor that had they operated. In abusing their own authority. They will take you and put you in jail. After 2 days, they free you. Then they go back and arrest you again. Then they bring you again, harass you again. Then they put you also, and they go back and re-arrest you. This is not what it's supposed to be.
And why emphasis?
People got to stop.
Why emphasis wasn't placed on the cook in the house home? Jackson said he called while he was at the radio station, and he confirmed having workers in the house. Are they not important for the investigation?
Obviously, I mean, you know, the police can investigate. I'm just saying we have to be concerned about the rights of the individuals that are involved in this matter. You know, the police cannot say they want to do the right thing but using the wrong method, right? You can't do the wrong thing to get the right answer, right? If they want to do the right thing, they got to do the right thing by what? Respecting the law. What is the fundamental principle of law controlling this matter? It's the what? Due process right and the presumption of the innocent, correct? That is the controlling law. You accord the man a due process right and the fundamental principle of what? The presumption of innocence. That's what it is. Uncle Sam has to be protected under the law. He got to be presumed innocent until otherwise. We can't be drumming all the public sentiment against him. That's what I'm saying.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
That's all right.
That is understandable. Before you go, what's your take on the latest development, the meeting that occurred in Guinea between Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone on the misunderstanding that flared up over the week at the border with Liberia and Sierra Leone?
I mean, all and every patriotic Liberian will be concerned about the development at the border. I am deeply, deeply concerned about the development at the border. What I like to say is that the Liberian government, under President Joseph Boakar's leadership, has not demonstrated ample evidence of its respect for the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Liberia. It was Joseph Boakar who gave the Guinean junta the green light to come and violate our sovereignty by arresting people who were fleeing the brutality of the junta in Liberia. Boakar turned them over to the military junta in Guinea. When Boakar did that, what signal were you think? What signal was Bouaka sending to the Guinean junta? It was wrong. Bouaka gave these people the green light to encroach on our sovereignty and our territorial integrity when he allowed junta leaders to come into Liberia and arrest Berasheri and others. That was wrong. And so I'm concerned. I think diplomacy is the way forward, but Bouaka has to be careful. Mind you, even the issue involving the military land and the civilian, Bouaka decided to put the military over the civilian when he said, God, we're not creating new land, and that the military people knew the boundaries of the land. These are less than thoughtful comment, ill-considered remarks of the president. The president should not speak as though he has no maturity or he's not a leader. When they are land dispute, you can't say God not creating new land. And so all the people who got power should take the land. So the military in Liberia got power, they got guns. So they're taking land for poor people. So if the Guineans got more military strength, then they would take our land. Is that what Bouaka was trying to imply? Bouaka has to be very careful as leader of the country on how he speaks, because his words will have impact. It will have impact. What he said to the civilian, that was coming now to us. So the people in Liberia, they get guns, and so they can take the land, they can decide what the boundary is, and they go and grab people's land. So the Guinea people get guns, they get more ammunition, they got superior ammunition, right? So they can come to our and take our land. That's not the way to go. So Bouaka needed to say something peaceful, something intelligent to the poor people who land the soldier people were trying to grab. Under the Liberian Land Reform Act of 2018, section 5.2b, it says what? Those people should be considered squatter. And squatter have got rights. And you can't throw them for the land and throw them in the street. You may fairly compensate them. Is that what Bouaka did? He allowed the military in Liberia to grab poor people land, and then he kicked them out. That's not the way a leader should conduct himself. That's wrong. So, brother, I'm concerned. I pray for peace for my country, but the poor leadership being exercised by Brother Bouaka or President Bouaka that was inviting all this trouble. All this trouble being invited by President Bouaka, not conducting himself properly, even on the home front. If Bouaka has shown to the junta that he respected international laws, that honor international law, people fleeing military junta, military hostility cannot be turned over to the junta. Maybe the junta will have known that we respect some kind of law. They will not go and try to grab our land from the border. They will not be marching all their forces at our border to intimidate us. They will go there and start talking diplomacy because we ain't want to fight them. Bouaka used to say that's why international law is important to respect. We must respect the law. It's international law. You can't, people who are running away from war, you can't send them back to the war zone. You can't do it. They have their right.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Jackson.
And other people to the junta. Correct? That's what he did.
Is President Bouaka?
The civilian had issue with land. He said, God not creating any more land. So the military should take the people land. Can you imagine? And even at that, Bouaka has not compensated these people in keeping with the Land Right Act of 2018. And I quoted for you section 5.2, I think D of the Land Right Act. It says people who are squatters should be justly compensated. Bouaka throwing the people off and putting in some of the people are living in the street and under the bridges. You think that's the right way for people to live? The government's supposed to rescue our people. They're putting them in the street, making them vulnerable. They're making them vagrant. Is that right? It's wrong. It's wrong.
Is President Joseph Bouaka, in your reasoning, independent of thought, or he's been ill-advised by his advisors?
Again, he's been ill-advised by his advisor. He appointed his advisor, right? The advisor are a reflection of what the president thinks and what he is. The President Bouaka, who have 40-year plus experience in government, and he's running a government that is basically tribalized, and almost everybody in the cabinet are cranking town serving sycophant. How will he get proper advice? All these people over there just try to tell nobody in the cabinet room want to tell Brother Bouaka, Mr. Bouaka, the way you proceed. In fact, this statement you made here, it was less than thoughtful, it was ill-considered. Have anybody up in the cabinet said that? to Mr. Bouaka and say, to tell poor people who struggle to build their buffer, to tell them, say, God is creating new land, so the Soyabo will tell you land. Brother, anybody in a cabinet had told Bouaka and said, brother, the statement you made were not correct? No, nobody has said that to him. And even Dr. Famule, I'm ashamed of Dr. Famule's statement attributed to him. Made me to bow my head in shame. Dr. Famule said, Bouaka is a friend. He just observing. HB, you are observing terrible things happening in the country, and you call Bouaka your friend? Your people languishing in poverty, stinking poverty, and the president fly a private jet, you still brave to call him your friend? He traveled last in the governance system of the country, and you in public HB and you call him your friend? When I talk about other people could be laughing in their grave and say, why did people talk about from power? Why HB? HB, you said it in public. I saw the video clip where HB said Bouaka is his friend. So let him tell him a friend Bouaka. It's a lonely friend Bouaka that it's wrong to put the military above the people. It's wrong. Yeah, Bouaka say it's wrong for the people to be catching hard time while you fly private jet. It's wrong. Look, when you listen to the tribute that was paid to Jesse Jackson at age 81, Jesse Jackson was still going to the barracks. HB sitting around 70 talking about Bouaka like a friend. He ain't want to criticize Bouaka, but he want to criticize Jowiya. This is hideous hypocrisy. Tell them, it's hideous hypocrisy. HB should muster the courage as an elderly man too to tell his friend Bouaka from Sierra Leone that it's wrong to carry the country in the direction he's doing. It's wrong to break down the poor people who and then provide them opportunity and to not justly compensate them. It's wrong for the president to tribalize the governance system. It's wrong for the president to ride rough shoulder over our laws. It's wrong. The president is not respecting the laws in the country. The president is spreading poverty across the country. And HB calling him a friend. You think Jesse Jackson was calling people his friend? Yeah? Jesse Jackson, age 81, dealing with Parkinson's disease. He's still at the barracks. The HB, if you say you're not part of politics anymore and you want to observe, they don't criticize other people. If you don't have the courage to criticize Bouaka, why are you criticizing Jowiya? Jowiya out of power already. HB had the guts to go and criticize Jowiya and telling people, say, I retired from politics, I just observing. But he had the courage to criticize Bouaka, right? That's hideous hypocrisy. I like HB, I admire him. He got intellectual rhetoric, but bending that rhetoric is the opportunistic way to compromise with evil. Bouaka is evil, inherently dangerous for our country. Was it HB's vision for Liberia for the government to be tribalized? The whole financial sector of the country is being controlled by people from Lofa. Does that bother H. Burman family? With all the rhetoric, the eloquence, he can use it to tell his friend brother a wrong. There's the same thing what we told do from here for. Go to finance ministry, girlfriend from Lofa. LRA, I call him Jala from Lofa. Central Bank, the other clown from Lofa. Correct? HB certified with that? He said, oh, brother, my friend, I'm criticizing about criticize Jowiya. Come on, man. Jowiya is not as bad as the people try to depict him. It was Jowiya who sent Bouaka to hospital when his health was failing him. Even if that's the only one good thing Jowiya ever did, where tell God thank you for him. He rescued Bouaka's life. And Bouaka is terminating lives in Liberia. When you demolish home, you're demolishing lives. How can HB not see this? When Bouaka break down home, he demolishes home. He demolishing lives. The people, poor children, are in the street. The people build up buffer them. Where's the empathy for them? How do we take care of their welfare? And you have a senior politician, Dr. H. Burman family, former national security advisor. They say, oh, Bouaka, my friend. The man who my friend at Jowiya, I'm sorry, criticizing you. I just observing. You observing evil in society and you can't speak? Where is your spine, HB? Ask him. I say, where is his spine? Like,
he said he's against Jowiya because Jowiya messed the country up and Bouaka is putting the country back on the right track.
Absolute rubbish. It's an opportunistic rubbish from HB. How is Bouaka putting the country on the right track when he's basically expanding poverty across the country? How is Bouaka putting the country on the right track when Bouaka is the one that is basically breaking down all the laws in our country. How are they putting the country on the right track when the country is in abject decline, abject moral decline, abject legal decline? How are they putting the country on the right track? I just gave you a simple example how Bouaka gave green light to junta leaders to fly into Liberia and take away people fleeing the brutality of the junta. How is that putting the country on the right track? How is that? How is Bouaka putting the country on the right track when Central accused the government of being more tribalistic than the dual government that HB criticized? How? I just need for you 3 high-ranking officials of the government that control the financial sector of the country. They are all for Lofa. Is that what HB wants for the country? Is that what he wants? Is that why they call putting country on track? Let HB ask that cabinet. Is that cabinet inclusive of opposition leaders? No. Were we not against the exclusion of opposition leaders from the executive governance of the country? Were we not? Did I not oppose that? So what is he talking about? Brother, let me tell you, in your old age, pray to God to not be hungry. Because hunger can make you to compromise principle. That thing HB thought is opportunistic. But I cannot put no country on any map.
So HB is hungry in his old age. Is that what you're saying, Jackson? HB is hungry in his old age.
It seems that though he doesn't have the backbone he used to have. It seems to me because what he's saying is opportunistic. Is there anybody who is making a fair assessment of what is the reality on the home front? All right. Let me say this. The Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia ruled against the entire legislature and the Bouaka administration that the manner in which Fonati Kova was uprooted as speaker was unlawful. Did HB say anything? Did he say anything that the country would be governed by law? And that even the legislature was so shameless that it passed a law that what the Supreme Court rule on legal, they make it legal. Is that how we run country? That why we put country on map? The United States State Department Human Rights report on Liberia. Have you read it? The Liberia is among the poorest country in the world, 10 poorest country in the world, and the president flying private jet. I thought HB used to be a follower of Julius Nyerere. If you go to Tanzania, show me how many property Julius Nyerere got. Bouaka breaking poor people homes down, and he building 10 million home for himself in 4 years. You know how much 10 million who are done to build poor people homes? HB say he follow Nyerere. He didn't follow Nyerere. Stop it. You pretending because Nyerere used to ride bicycle to run around Tanzania. You're not flying private jet and putting 60 people behind him, 40 people behind him. Bouaka go with 40 people delegation. The same thing we are used to do. How is it different from Joe? The only good thing that Joe he did got some humanity more than Bouaka. True. Because Joe rescued him, sent him to hospital to give him the first breath back. Right? I'm not 100% Joe God. Let's be earnest. But that's one simple good thing that Joe did. Let's remember for it. Because even in the Bible, God said when you do 10,000 sins, but one good thing you do, I'll be remorseful. I'll be gracious enough. When Bouaka was sick, he couldn't live for his own leg. Couldn't even speak properly. It was joy, magnanimity, a good heart that sent him to hospital. Bouaka sent anybody to the hospital saying you came to power. Everybody who criticizes would be enemy. And they should have death sentence, right? That Bouaka, a friend, HB called this man a friend. Call that man your friend? Sorry, man. That's why I say when you all try not to get hungry, brother. Because when you not get hungry, hunger will not compromise you. They think HB talking. Can you talk to? Look, if you want to know what our country is running right, don't ask the people in the higher, ask the poor people in the market. Talk to them. They are the one who will tell you whether the country running right or not because they feel the pinch. Bouaka is building a $10 million clean in 4 years that nobody understands. No proper justification for that. Is Bouaka is the HB concerned about that? $10 million to pay one man comfort. The man is 80 years old, 40 near the grave.
But he said his government said that is exclusively for ECOWAS. There where they will be having their meetings and other activities.
So what our priority that ECOWAS or the poor we let them into power? That when is our priority? We be home for ECOWAS, we be home for the poor we let them man. That sense there, brother. You right? That common sense there. These people are joking, right? The poor people who voted for you, you won with the narrowest of vote in the entire country. You don't take care of their welfare. That echo you worry on. That have brought on the leadership looking. The 530, all politics local, the poor people who stood in the queue voted for Branca. What happened to them? It is their homes that have been broken down. They are the ones being sent in the street to live on the beaches. They've been exposed. Correct? It's about ECOWA, even at that. What the transparency with that project? Any transparency there? In the brain law, not encourage transparency and accountability. Is it not even disgraceful that Bouaka, the legislature that's supposed to ask Bouaka question, that hold the executive accountable, they were wearing yellow clothes because they bought yellow machine? Is HB comfortable with that? The HB, man, we talk about old men are observing. I was just observing all the bad things about crazy job. Again, crazy Bouaka, you my friend. HB. Is that how you want society and history to remember you when you leave the earth? People who supposed to, the legislature is supposed to hold the executive accountable. They are the one wearing yellow clothes to welcome a controversial yellow machine that we should ask a hard question about. And HB sit down there, my friend. Look, say like a friend from Sierra Leone. Let me tell you, friend now.
All right.
It's wrong.
Okay.
To run the country the way you're doing it.
All right, Isaac. What can you say? What's your observation of the pro tem and your senator, your party senator? These are two people from your party, Liberty Party, Yomblikanga Lawrence, who is pro tem now, and Darius Dillon, that was very vocal of the previous government. What's your observation since you've been following legislative politics?
You know, the statement by Dillon about the poor people who been demolished, it confirms everything that I said about Dillon before. That Dillon is an arrogant, brainless trash talker. He's arrogant in the sense that the poor people elected him. He didn't even got anything intelligent to say. Why you can keep quiet? People who are building on public property, they got squatter rights. And Dillon is so heartless. He's an arrogant, brain dead trash talker. He's so arrogant. They're breaking poor people who's down and say, oh, they're getting Holloway. Because they're being Holloway, they will break their houses down. And somebody reminded him in the chamber, they said, but bro, the president said, how Holloway? They said, oh, but when that president again, they will break houses down. The law is supposed to see the president. The law is blind, right? It's a blind goddess. Okay, if Bouaka pay in alleyway, if you will leave Bouaka on the hall, why are you breaking poor people who down? Poor people, you know how much poor people spend to build a buffer? To build buffer in Liberia for poor people, it's hard. And the government breaking the homes down in a heartless way. And Dillon got no remorse to say, oh, let me find something intelligent to say on behalf of poor people. He said, let them break the home down, and they be alleyway. That was he's an arrogant, brain dead trash talker. His brain is dead. Nothing can come good on a Dillon. Nothing good will come out of Dillon. He got no solid education. He lied through all about his educational credential. How he ended up there. He got no sympathy for poor people. Go to our law, the land reform law, 2018, land right act. It gives right to squatter. Government can just throw them out of the place. If Dillon can find something intelligent to say on behalf of poor people, they say, oh, when Bouaka not president again, they can go bring the house down. Oh, we gotta wait. The law will wait when you're not president for SAQ. So he just showed to you that the man is brain dead, that he's arrogant, he's a trash talker, right? That's what it is. And that's what the thing I'm thinking about and talking to free friends in the US, that we gotta pass in Liberia what they call the Recall Act. You know, the Recall Act is where the citizen can vote, not vote, but sign a petition to recall some underperforming lawmakers. It's in the British Parliament. They do that. The British people got it there. It's in the American jurisprudence, but it's not at federal level. It's at the local level. So if you got a Dillon, who's a senator from Mozambique County, it can't talk for poor people. The poor people, 25% of them can sign a petition and say, let's recall a clown. He can't represent us. Liberia doesn't have that law, and I sure that one of the things I will be putting my energy behind to advocate that we can pass the Recall Act for lawmakers. Lawmakers who go there and they just changing money whole day. They can talk for poor people. Let's sign petition to recall them from the legislature. Recall Act strengthen democracy. If Dillon was in Minnesota, the local legislature, they would recall him ever since. They may stay over there, the breaking poor people who are talking about the Bay alleyway, that argument. The Bay alleyway. So Braga Bay alleyway, they don't break it down? Or because Braga the president? How about the senior official of government who build their own house in alleyway? You don't break them down? Or but the poor people you able, right? So you bring poor people husband and they go to hell. But they don't deserve what they got. And that's some of the problem. Our country has rewarded some of the flunkies. It's a disgrace. Yeah? The country rewarded some flunkies. And the flunkies were giving them nothing back because they are opportunistic. Where the sun shine, they wear their hand their clothes.
So what's the observation of what?
You see, I can't have my lunch again.
Yeah. Quickly, you will soon go. We've got less than 5 minutes. What's the observation of the workings of the pro tem Yomlikanga Lawrence, your Basa sister, and the speaker, regime speaker, Richard Nangwe-Kun?
I'm deeply unimpressed. I'm deeply unimpressed. I mean, if Liberia was a serious country, and we have any decent respect for morality, would I be speaker today? With all the moral decadence that revolving around Kun, he can't hear 5 people, he married his own sister, all that trash, moral decadence. I mean, still saying that he's speaker, bro. In Liberia, pride is a religious country. Even though it's a secular, but most of the Liberian people say, oh, Christian. That Christian conduct man has everything. He married his own sister fraudulently. He do all this kind of thing. They say, speaker today. I'm ashamed of the people who still sit under him and can't find a way to get him out of the place. As for my sister, I'm unimpressed with my sister. I'm just unimpressed with her, you know. She was the same person who says you need to take counsel from the president on the issue revolving COFA removal. I said, but the legislature should be independent of the executive. Why you go to the president lawyer who is the minister of justice to take counsel? They said, wrong. The legislature has a legal counsel, right? It used to be for Jonathan COFA, Professor Jonathan Williams. I don't know, but nobody can allow on public record. You say, oh, in the COFA case, we thought the minister of justice will proceed. Minister of Justice, he provides advice to the president. The legislature is independent, even though coordinate, but is that where you go to get legal advice? The legislature has their own legal counsel. They should have provided her good legal advice on how to proceed regarding the COFA case. But nobody did the wrong thing. They all did the wrong thing. You know? So it's shameful. It's shameful. I hope she will learn her lesson. She's my sister. I'm trying to talk to her. You got to be careful, sister. These things about legacy, today you in power, tomorrow you're not there. You got to do right by poor people. Do right by the poor people. They're breaking poor people homes down and nobody talking for them. And you throwing them in the street because you can ride comfortable car. Who talking for poor people in Liberia now? Who? Girls are being raped, sodomized in the country. Today, nobody talking. The last time I heard they said they were criticizing Prophet Key. I said, why are you criticizing Prophet Key? The manner in which the Supreme Court proceeded against Prophet Key, I think it was wrong. But that will be another conversation for another day. Ask yourself a simple question.
The sentencing was excessive or it wasn't? The court was in the right?
Disproportionate. It was disproportionate to the offense. Ask yourself and ask the members of the Supreme Court bench. In its 236 years, whether the United States Supreme Court have held any private citizen in contempt for causing justices of the court. United States is the epitome of democracy. It's where we copy most of our laws from. The United States Supreme Court have been around for 236 years. Not one precedent where the United States Supreme Court go and hold a Joe Blow, because Prophet Kid a Joe Blow on the sidewalk. It ain't no government man. It's just on the sidewalk. It costs you just a whole in contempt for causing. In fact, the United States, their First Amendment say what? Insult falls within the permissible bounds of free speech. That's it. Insult falls within the permissible bounds of free speech. When people get very cause, even Jesus Christ in the Bible, when he got vexed to criticize sin, he not used polite words. Jesus Christ used strong words to criticize sin. The Pharisees. People get vexed, they were called. I'm my own former president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, when she got vexed with Doe and the injustice and meted out against her. He called do idiot. Or idiot a polite word. Injustice admitted all Ellen Johnson's against Ellen Johnson said she got vexed with Doe and described him as an idiot. They want to put her in jail for 6 months because he called Joe idiot. You put somebody in jail for cursing, but they will let somebody who sodomized a child to death to go war free. What kind of society is that? If it's not in moral decline, cursing. The American law says cursing is what? Within the permissible bound of free speech. Homosexual sodomy by death. Even Jesus Christ said front on it. When somebody sodomize somebody and kill them, Jesus Christ said, bah. Liberian government said, let them go around. People committing rape, the government freeing people who commit rape. That police want to tell somebody say they don't rape, that the court want to free somebody who don't rape. Let police charge them, man, go to court, let court say, but man, you don't rape. Let them make everything to court. But police, corrupt police. Everybody in Liberia know that police can take fire on the sidewalk every day. Corrupt. I didn't want to tell somebody they may not rape, just let me go to your. So why they call that? That court want to exonerate. That corrupt police who taking fire from the sidewalk. There's somebody who rape. So it's a society that is in abject moral decline. Putting people going free and telling people who to rape and they go free. They may rape, but they ain't go free. We don't get everything to convince them, they may go free.
Should the government have accepted the resignation of the head of the office of the ombudsman, Finlay Kanga, and RIA boss Rufus administrative leave?
Oh, obviously, I mean, there's too many controversies surrounding my friend. My man already beyond my time, but Finlay is my friend. There are too many controversies. I mean, he resigned. But all that I'm saying to you, our country is in abject decline, moral decline. When you punish harshly, coarse words, and allow murderer, rapists, people who sodomize kids to death, when you give them free passes, it's a society that's in abject moral decline. And even if you ask the Chief Justice, who imputing the justice? This is the Chief Justice who said, he doesn't have any regard for ethical standards. This is the Chief Justice who appointed his own son to come to the judiciary in violation of the ethical standards in the country. Where does he derive the authority to impute the justice he's imputing? And where's the precedent that you hold a Joe Blow who calls justice in contempt, put him in jail for 6 months and telling him to sign people? So when corruption around the country, the man will not talk again. So when people get vexed, they call. Jesus Christ got vexed with sin. He criticized sin. He didn't use polite words. Jesus Christ. That's why Paul go away to Jesus Christ. Then bring Ellen Johnson Sally. When she got vexed with the injustice, the door were meeting her again. So he called Doe idiot. So what is that? They're going to put her in jail? They're going to put her in jail? So you let murderer to go free and you put somebody in jail because they're the present cause? The society is in abject moral decline.
All right, Isaac.
You got to speak out. Thank you, my man.
All right, thank you, Ted. Thank you so much. Yeah, we agreed for 30 minutes, and at least we went less than that. Thank you so much. Those are the issues. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll talk with the passage of time. Thank you. All right, that's Liberian lawyer Isaac Jackson opted to impute some of the things that he had on his mind of what is unfolding in Liberia. They are following the events. He's in the United States. They are following the events here in Liberia. On Isaac Jackson, few minutes position, Rita Hart said, in the US, we use the F word for common. Who cared? Put someone in jail for cursing here in the US. Even in court, you can curse. Rita, that's a democracy. It was a culture. It's about culture. Because you damage the culture. Our culture, but everything that culture. And they see people that talk about culture, and they see ones who can press chakla. Salami Boyman said the problem from Liberia is the president. The president elect the Chief Justice. What are you currently doing in Liberia? Yeah. Emmanuel Bro on Isaac position said, Dillon is a clown who shouldn't be in the Liberian Senate. He needs to be booted out immediately or eventually. It takes time. The man there for 10 years, Emmanuel Bro, except they activate the law that Isaac talked about, removing underperformer. But that can never be activated. That's the Liberian culture. The leaders themselves are the ones who creating the problem. Gabriel West said, that's my God. Tough talking Isaac Jackson. You have made my day. On Bremen Family, Isaac position on Bremen Family, Emmanuel Bro writes again, yes, though backing Anthony Jackson is very right about Heron Family. HBF is glaringly one of those failed Liberian politicians who have sold out to the Bouakai regime. Gabriel West on that too said, HB is another buyout by Bouakai, like he has done with the LCC. All right. So thank you guys. Thank you all for commenting on Isaac position. Those are 4 issues he talked about. Rita Kasbai, we gotta give you a word for commenting. She said, me, I like to curse, so when I curse, they will put me, in jail. I am a U.S. citizen. Like, you can't, you curse here. We'll put you in jail for 6 months. So Rita, I'm a lawyer now. Oh, in our country now, under the Bouakai government, the people who get the power, they can determine the law. Oh, Bouakai can decide to send you to jail for 1 year. The speaker can decide whatever the time, maybe 6 months or 7 months. The Chief Justice can sentence you for whatever the time. The pro tem can sentence to all the people. That's the atmosphere on a unity party government now. Oh, any government official, you say anything to him or her, they satisfy, they'll call the police and send you to 6 months in jail. You there. They're controlling the law. You can't go anywhere. They're controlling the court. You see what happening to Prophet Key? So our culture, the people say we're keeping our culture clean. So no cursing. But the same people who can say no cursing, watch some of the expressions that they can use. Some of it can also close to man curse. See some of the government officials then in gathering. See them in offices. See them in the midst of other people. They can use the S word, the F word for common. But it's culture when they're using it, but it is on culture when another person is using it. That's the curse on Liberia. This country is a cursed country. Curse. All right, I see you. It's 5:30. So today is the Champions League. Rita, leave us. Go tomorrow. Get ready for Israel in the morning. So you chunk all your comments. Leave us. That's more correct. Dialoga. Rita. More comment in you know, when you come to Liberia, you must cause here, Rita. You will know. The chief justice will say, Rita, I see you. So today is another sweltering or several sweltering matches. UEFA Champions League today. Chelsea will need miracle. Let me still beg you legitimately 1 or 2 minutes from Diallo's time. Yeah. Chelsea would need miracle from God. Miracle, luck and miracle, luck part of life, miracle from God. Yeah. Luck is part of life, miracle from God. Chelsea will need miracle and luck against PSG. The game is 8 p.m. tonight. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. The first leg ended 5-2. But Chelsea is in a good position, little bit, because they have 2 away goals. Technically, Chelsea has 3 goals. 3 goals. If Chelsea can score the first 2, there is every likelihood that they can go on to qualify. But that would mean PSG should not score. And that's the difficult aspect. You saw the situation with Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. Barca did not score a single goal. Chelsea scored 2. So Chelsea has that. It's not an advantage, but 0. But then they will have to prevent PSG from scoring. If PSG scores, then Chelsea will be looking for 4. Chelsea has 3 goals. 3. Right now, Chelsea has 3. Don't get confused if you're not following. It is a simple. If you know the coefficient formula that UEFA use, the simple permutation, you know exactly what I'm saying. So it's not just literal 2 goals. When I say 3, that because of that is mathematical aspect. Everything, yeah, that's how they do it. So Chelsea has the 0, they score 2. Technically, Chelsea has 3 goals. Should Chelsea score first, PSG will start to worry. It is based on that coefficient that PSG will start worrying. You'll just see it as 3 or as 5-3 or so. PSG, you think PSG has the advantage. Say, oh, no. The coefficient will start dropping gradually and working. The odd will go against PSG and will start working in Chelsea favor. That's why you see the players, they are always fighting to hit the net, and then they hit the second. All of them, they have that mathematical equation in their mind. Understand it that way. Had Barcelona just scored 1 against Atletico Madrid, they wouldn't have gone out. And had Atletico Madrid scored 1 at Nou Camp, Barcelona will be looking for 4, which will be impossible practically. So Chelsea is spirited. It's not an advantage, but it is a spirited position, meaning they have the spirit, they can push, prevent PSG from scoring early, hit PSG net, and then maybe after 5, 10, 15 minutes again, they get some kind of luck, they hit it net, 2-0. What happened? There's star right there. You see, just you will look, if you're watching the game on the screen, you will look on your right, you will see it will appear. You see the mathematical something will appear there. And you see Chelsea players will be hopeful. For Manchester City might be like Barcelona, where the beginning can say dry. But I'm not sure, neither am I convinced that Manchester City can score 2 or 3 against Real Madrid tonight without Madrid scoring. The game might likely draw. It might also be Manchester City might win 1-0, or it might end 2-1 or 3-1 or 3-2. But I am convinced that Real Madrid will go through because Man City can never stop Real Madrid from scoring. What they did in the first leg in Real Madrid home, put them out completely. No, put them out. With 11 senior players out, do you know that Real Madrid used an academy player partnering with Rudiger called Thiago? Have you ever seen any player for several years coming from the Gion team to play on the senior team? It was that game against Real Madrid, against, how they call them, City. Small ball, 17 years old, that the male playing in that defense, stopping Man City people. Then with the people players coming back, their original mature defenders coming back, where Manchester City players will pass. Manchester City only relying on that guy they call Jeremy Deku. Besides that, nothing. But let's see. That football, the Josiah Johnson will say football at biscuit. It can change anytime. So it's 8 p.m. tonight. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. tonight. Real Madrid versus Man City. Then what's the other games? So if Real Madrid qualify, they will meet Bayern Munich. Then you have Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen. Arsenal and Bayer Leverkusen today, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Then on tomorrow, Wednesday, the world's greatest team will be playing. The world's most classic team. The world's team that keeps the football world entertaining. FC Barcelona. 5:45 will be playing early game. And listen, your English people, me tell you, you're like it at your business, you ain't like it at your business. I wish I way your feet at your business. You're going home. Newcastle going home, I see you. That's all I can say. Newcastle going home. When Newcastle, when they score 1, they will tell God, thank you. Newcastle will either go home with 4 or 5 or 6. No camp. The other thing will go play on that free time ball field. Well, tell nobody business. You go have Van Persie. When Van Persie enter new camp, the Melior say no. That from there, from that game, the English people started improving their stadium. They started stretching their stadium. You know, the English people, they get it. They had, yes, but they had a Congo stuff that we had in Liberia. They built small houses. That's how the fees were looking. So you see St. James Park. You see what's some of their fees here. Small. That now they are spending. The Spanish people, they put use of one stadium. So you go there tomorrow. I don't know. They'll be looking for person say, but look at the crowd. 90,000 over me. I used to only 5,000. Again, I see you. I see you. Thank you for the time. I see you. So 8 o'clock, you already know exactly. You know, but we have to do the presenter's mention as it is required. Just so you know what's coming up next, 8 o'clock, the doctor himself is in, the teacher of the land, the light of the nation, the evangelist, and Anthony at Law, Ibi William, with Face the Issues. You don't want to miss it. If God permits, we're back tomorrow. This is how we go home with this one.
Be informed, be ethical, serve your country. Oh. A nation is not built by spectators. It is built by citizens. Citizens who understand that freedom carries responsibility. That liberty demands character. And that a republic survives only when its people choose duty over comfort. So today we remember the